Hi, I'm the fellow passenger. I want to start off with acknowledging that I haven't posted a video for a very long time. I will talk a bit more about that a little bit later in this video. Let's focus on what this video is actually about. It's my big sample drop, an annual sample drop that I've been doing for the last few years, where I share the library that I've built up during the year. This year I got about just over 7.5 gigabytes worth of sound, one-shots, drums, bass, leads, pads, the loops, glitches, percussion, and I suppose they lend themselves very much towards people who want to make either glitch music or, I suppose the common term is maybe IDM, whatever you think about that term. But also this year it has a bit of an electro focus. And what I mean by electro, think about old school Detroit, that style of electro. I also want to point out that this big library sample drop is not overlapping with the weekly releases of samples that I have been doing up until, well, probably a few months ago now. I feel a bit guilty that I haven't done my weekly posts like I did before, but I will get a bit more into that as well later in this video. But if you had signed up to that tier, all those samples are not included in this pack. And also for you who are not yet a subscriber, if you get this pack, if you want even more samples, a huge amount more samples, then you will access that through the different tier. So this sample library that I'm releasing today will be available on my Patreon. I think it's the second tier, the one where you get the downloads and stuff, not the weekly stuff that I intended to post. We'll get to there in a moment. What you can see or hear happening in the background while I'm speaking is using the samples of making a little sketch, electro sketch. Yes, all based around the sounds that are part of this library. It's all nicely organized for you, so I hope you will enjoy those sounds. So let's talk a bit more about why I haven't posted a video in quite a while. And I suppose my posts, there has been longer and longer in between new material. And each time I post something, I feel like, I got to kickstart this again. I need to get into the routine of posting content. And I think I have a good foundation on what the content will be like. But then, as I start doing it, there's just something that doesn't feel like right. And it hasn't been engaging me as much as it used to. I think that is maybe due to a shift in what I am myself focusing on when it comes to music making. There was a long period when I focused on technique and discovering ideas on how to do things. That was really valuable, and it was also quite fun to share. I made a huge amount of progress myself during that period, but it gets to a point where it gets quite esoteric. That's okay. That's okay. But there is also like a diminishing return where I felt less need for developing those techniques. That's not where I was struggling musically. I think it's shifted towards something else. Something that made me reevaluate a comment that I heard earlier this year, which I think I've mentioned in a previous video, where this local girl who works in a cafe here talked about the reason for her making music, that she had something, there was some emotion that she wanted to express, but she couldn't quite do that in a verbal form, or I don't know how to say this, but I suppose it's like she found that the music was the best way of expressing those emotions, or an outlet for saying certain things that is sometimes not necessarily just words. I couldn't agree with that at the time. I didn't feel like that's what I was doing. For me, it was much more about the exploration. Waking up in the morning, being really curious about some technique, and if I did X, Y, and Z, what would that sound like? And that was the driving force behind me making my music making. I think that has shifted a bit, and if I don't take what she said too literally, like there wasn't a clear message that I had inside myself that I wanted to communicate. It was perhaps more the feeling that you would get from the music that I made. I think I became much better at constructing music. I got to a point where I could just sit down and make a track, complete a track. That was no longer a problem. That was a big problem for me for a while, but I feel I can just sit down and make a piece of music. And this year I've perhaps focused a bit more on that old school electro thing behind the scenes. I haven't shared much of that, rather than the perhaps more Auteca stuff that my earlier things were aspiring to, I suppose. And I could make something that would be described as electro. It was also not necessarily incorrect. What I mean by that it was no false notes. There was not really a problem as such with the structure of the song. I think it featured all the elements of electro, but it didn't fill me. A lot of the stuff that I've been making didn't really fill me with the feelings I get when I listen to a really good electro track. And I realized that when I was listening, I've reevaluated my own record collection, also the music I listen to online quite a lot. What is it that provides that emotional thing? What is it that makes me feel in a particular way? And it's really difficult to put my finger on. And I feel that's where I've got the furthest to go. That's where I'm struggling the most. I don't feel the tools are holding me back. And now, also, it's been a bit ridiculous, but I've accumulated quite a lot of hardware gear. And a lot of the music that I've been making during the year has more and more focused on, rather than using Ableton, I use a lot more hardware now. And that in itself, well, I think that's a separate discussion. I haven't given up on Ableton. I use Ableton loads. I use lots of software, and it's somehow more about the end product. But it's been much more about chasing that elusive, emotion-triggering thing, which I feel like I am just not good at yet. I make tiny steps of progress, but sometimes I don't really understand what it is that I'm doing to make those tiny steps of progress. It's not a piece of information that you either know or you do not know. It's something much more elusive. And I'm still struggling so much with it. And I just don't know how to share that. And I also don't know that if I would be sharing it now, that I don't feel confident enough, that I just don't understand what it is that I'm doing or not doing. And I also feel like I'm quite far off the mark of what I am looking for. Sometimes I wonder if music and sound is a sort of being. Okay, this sounds almost surreal. That's okay. But imagine that you have animals and you have the plant world, flora and fauna. But then music is almost like this other thing that lives. And it's almost like water. It's not one thing, like a body of water can turn into droplets and go back into one body of water again. All right, maybe I should just stop this mumbling now. I don't know how to make sense of it. I would love to make more videos, but I also feel that I can't make videos for the sake of making videos. I just don't know what I think I will be back. I think I will post more videos, but I just don't know what or when. So thank you so much for your continued support. And just so you know, like underneath the surface, there's lots of work happening. I just hope it will surface in a really nice way. Actually, before I end this monologue, there's one more thing that I want to talk about, because it's sort of on this theme on how, like, what music is and maybe how I consume it. I think it's human connection that I am seeking. And I can't remember if I've told this story before, but if I haven't, or you maybe have missed that in that video, I'll tell it now. Earlier this year, we were going to see B12 live at the Jazz Cafe in Camden Town in London. B12 released some, for me, iconic tracks on Warp Records in the 90s. And it was a great opportunity to go in and see them together with some friends. Earlier that day, I had a day off, so I went into London, spent the day there, and I went to Honest John's Records, the little shop they have behind King's Cross in the Coal Drops. It's tiny. The music feels quite selected there. It's not just any random record shop. I haven't dug into all the different categories that they have. They are not a dedicated electronic music shop, but they certainly have a good section. And for being such a small shop, they have a nice selection of old Detroit electro artists, also some really nice classic dub techno, that sort of thing. They have these two massive Genelec speakers. I can't remember what model they are. They are not the 8050. I think these are bigger. The sound is nice in there. The sound is really good. And I was in there and there was maybe one or two more people in the shop. And they don't have a listening station, so if you want to hear something that you might want to buy, they will have to play it out loud. And I had a good conversation, just a short conversation with the guy behind the counter about the music. And the sound was good, the atmosphere was good. If I then compare that to the B12 gig later that evening, where in my opinion the sound quality was awful. It was really loud and way too much bass, so I could almost not hear which track was which. There was a dance floor, but I felt like I didn't have any urge to dance at all, and it was also impossible to have a conversation with anyone there. This may well be linked to the age I am and what I'm sort of after in a social context compared to a long time ago. But what happened there at Honest John's felt much more rewarding, and the quality of the experience was much more rewarding, even though it was very brief. And I want more of that, I think. And it's also something that I have been missing with the EMOM movement, which I've been involved in, the one in Colchester in particular, where anyone who wants to have a go at performing live without any, any there is no limit, there's no restriction on how good you need to be or anything. There's a time limit, and that's what you have, and you got a table size that you need to fit within, but then you go for it. I like the idea of that, and I think it's got its place, but it's missing that social aspect where I feel I develop more if you're experiencing it in a more social way. And I mean, just being in the same space and listening to loud music is just not quite enough. It's a bit like when I went to see Autechre in Bristol. When was that? In November this year? Or was it October? I can't remember. I think early November. Again, I think the gig itself. Also, I'm fairly done with just seeing them in the dark. That sort of thing. It feels like, okay, we've done that now. And also the type of... I wouldn't be able to say which gig was which, I think, if I reheard that, what I heard in Bristol, compared to what I heard in London a few years ago. I know some people say like, oh, it was amazing at the second half, it was much more dancey, and I would say, yeah, maybe, but that difference was subtle, to say the least, if you compare to lots of other music. It's interesting, it was interesting, I enjoyed it, but I still prefer to listen to that sort of stuff, almost like it's one up to listen to that at home, let's say in my studio, on my studio monitors. I just wish that there was something that was a bit more social to it than sitting in my studio listening to that way. So maybe the answer is some sort of listening cafe. I don't know. Anyway, this has been a lot of rambling. Thank you so much. And don't forget to check out the Patreon if you just want to grab all these samples and stuff that I've been using in this video. And yeah, it's just over 7.5 gigabytes worth of sounds for your enjoyment. Thank you so much for listening and taking part in this. And I will be back in some form next year. I just don't know how or when. I really want to, but I also don't want to do it for the sake of doing it. I want to have something to say. So until then, thank you very much. Bye.